far as explaining with the genre, I played in a short film where I played both like a neighbor lady gardening and alien. And for me, the alien was easier because I'm down there going, if I was gardening, what would I be doing? I don't garden. And, but I'm like, okay, alien, I can do that. And it was very physical, you know, like I get shot, I do all this. And I have a background with international folk dancing and belly dancing. And so, you know, I played a gypsy fortune teller. So I think, oh, she's very fluid. And kind of before we'd start, and I would be kind of doing this, and it kind of gets me in the mood. And she was a little more touchy. Then I played someone who was very corporate. My hair was up. She would be sitting straight backed. And then whenever I went up to the podium, and in order to just turn around, it was at the waist, and feet follow, and very much like a march. And so that actually even changed how rhythm of speech was for me. And so my voice was different, my accent was different. But it started with, okay, now she was like this. And she wouldn't touch something that she hands to you, she'd shove it towards you. You know, and so that it starts very much from movement for me, and then I can get into kind of my character, so.
I don't feel like I really belong on this panel with all these actors, but I can say that, and I'm going to actually ask a question after I go here, is that I have an unbelievable trouble remembering lines, and I write them. So
sometimes.
It's harder.
I can't do it. I have to go improv.
Yeah.
If it's a Hal acting scene, we got to throw out the script and get him to go off the cuff because he will not remember his lines.
Well, you know, I have
And
the
do
same
you like to
problem.
go off the cuff better, or do you like to deliver lines as written better?
Yeah, my problem is like I would say it and then I go, that's not the line, and Mark's looking, go, that was 2 versions ago. You know, because we had rewritten it, and I'm like, why am I remembering the version before? And so then I had to look at it and go, oh, I remember when we changed that. But in the moment, for some reason, I was still thinking of like the original.
Yeah, you know, I've been an actor forever, and I write also, and when I've done my own work, which is only one time that I ever performed in something I wrote, and it was harder for me, and I have an eidetic memory. I could look at a website and recall it. I have what they call recall, hey. And it's really an eidetic memory where I take a picture with my eyes. I have to make a conscious choice to do it, but I can recall what's on there and almost read it off the page, and I couldn't remember my own line. So I don't know what that is.
You're emotionally attached to it.
Yeah, it must be, because, yeah, and as far as learning lines also, we should talk about that, because with learning lines, a lot of times with actors, especially younger actors, they can look at it once and they just know it. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's nerves, but sometimes when you can't learn the lines, I think it has to do with being anxious. More, they're not understanding. It's like, it might as well be written in Japanese. Do you guys have that effect also? Or?
Well, I've found that you have to realize that there's an entire crew working, and sometimes the sound man or the cameraman or even the gaffer or whatever is ready for a line. That is their cue. That is when they're going to turn the camera. That is when they're going to turn the camera on. That's when someone else is going to say their line because they know it's the cue line. So the director might be very strict in that way. It might call for learning those lines exactly. Some directors will let you go a little bit, and that's fun. I mean, that's a little more fun because you can, well, kind of make it up as you go along, or if you've worked and developed your character, you can go with your character, and it often turns out a little more natural on the screen.
I think sometimes you can let them play, like we'd have actors who would come up to either the director or I and be like, you know, what if my character said this instead? And a lot of times we'll say, well, let's do it a couple times and script it, and then do another take, and then we'll see. And sometimes it was brilliant, and it worked better, and sometimes it was like, it sounded good in there, you know, but you don't know until you try. And if you have the time, if you're crunched for time and you just can't, you know, then you can't. But if you're budgeting out your time well enough, you know, we will say, okay, look, play with it a little. And, you know, because sometimes something brilliant happens in the spur of the moment. Yeah. But you'd have to have that structure. It's like we say, you know, they don't always like an independent filmmaking doing the on-set protocol, the slating and this and that, but we always say if you do that, if everyone is on task, that's when you can have fun.
Yeah,
Because you have some structure and things are getting done. If it's just anarchy and chaos, then it's not, you can't play, you can't have fun because everybody's sniping about trying to get things done. So, there's kind of a balance of the structure with the give and take of the spontaneity in the moment, I think.
I think we give our actors a little bit more leeway on Game and Shake because we just wrapped our 3rd season and it's been the same actors for 3 seasons and they really know who their characters are. And what's nice about that is as I was writing it, I really knew where they were taking their characters and I knew how the lines were going to sound in their mouth and I knew so the writing got more streamlined as to how they would say it. But we'd still have people surprise us on set and so what was nice is we get one clean take of what's on the page, hopefully, because the director really likes that. Thumbs up. But then we do take, do a take or two of them just sort of like do what you think he would do. Like,
That's cool.
keep it within the realm of the world and make sure that you're not spending like, I have an idea for a 13-minute scene. Like, we're not doing that. But give us a line or two and maybe extend the scene just a little bit and see if we can use it. And sometimes it's great.
One thing
Sorry.
one thing I've always noticed about television shows, and now I guess it's happening with the webisodes and stuff too, is that they hit a stride. Is that that first season is going to show promise.
We like to call that the pilot season.
The pilot season, but then these like Seinfeld, if you catch like the originals of Seinfeld, they're pretty good. You see that this has a lot of potential, but then when you get to the Bubble Boy and all those, that's the 2nd or 3rd season when they were really just killing it every time out. And so there is a really nice thing. As I write the Rowan sequel, I found that it was much easier to write the Rowan sequel than it was to write the original film.
It's a comfort level thing with everyone in set, and also it's like with those characters, it's like putting your favorite coat on. You're really comfortable and you know it, and you can just sort of slip right back into it. It's a really cool place to be.
I think it's important as well. One, I'm also an editor. Like I'm also a filmmaker, so I actually do try to stay with the lies because it can become a nightmare. But in terms of keeping on what we're talking about, I think it's important as an actor to also be, if you can, be choosy about what you work on. And there's some filmmakers that don't know how to work with actors. There's more technical filmmakers, and then there's very few directors that know how to talk to and work with actors and care about the actors and give you time to work, and spend time with you so that you have the freedom to explore your character. Because I've definitely been on a lot of those films. I've been lucky, but I've also been in some films where I'm really not very good because it's like you're just a prop, and it's like after a while you need to watch what you're doing because you'll end up on YouTube in a bad film and you're just like, do everything you can to hide it.
Yeah, I've been on set where, like, I was in a scene with another actor, and we were even, the DP and the director were there, and they were so busy trying to outdo each other in these cool angles and da-da-da, and finally he and I looked at each other and he goes, I think we could just read off a grocery list and they're not going to know.
And that was going to be my next question, because I assume there are a lot of directors out here.
They completely ignore us.
Is to, what do we want from directors? I personally love to be directed. The best director I ever worked with, she not only directed me, she was amazing. She was a writer, director on the film. She directed me, but she would also tell me like how to sit, physically how to sit. For whatever reason, she was so tied into knowing exactly what she wanted on camera, and it totally worked. Because we're actors, we don't always know what looks good on film. We don't know what framing you're using necessarily for the shot. And not that we have to. For me, it helps personally. But tell us, why don't you please start, what is it that you look for in a director?
Who I look for in a director?
Yeah, or do you mostly direct yourself?
Yeah, I've only directed.
Oh, you've
So
only
I guess
directed.
there's one film where I was and actually that's the film I starred in. But I was a mentally challenged guy in love with a pair of pants, and I never talked the entire film.
That's awesome.
Keeping it clean.
You can see what he got to be is.
I would guess that in a perfect world, you have a kind woman or man directing. But if you're not on your game or you're not quite sure what is called for in the scene or even in your character, if you haven't done your work, hopefully you have, that a director that can steer you in the right way, even directly do this, do that, depending on what's called for.
Yeah.
In the film that I just worked on, Game Nights, that showed last night, I played a game master. And having played role-playing games my whole life, the director was kind of like, all right, be a game master. And that was very nice, in that they, accepted kind of whatever I did.
Yeah.
But it varies. It varies according to what is called for the film.
I just kind of look for the same thing I look for in anyone that I'd be working with. I mean, just communication and respect. And, I've dealt with the phony directors who are like, oh, no, you're beautiful, it's great. I don't need you to tell me that after every take. We're all working here. But then again, I've also had some that give no direction at all. And if I'm walking down the hallway having a conversation, I'm aware of continuity. So I'm going to do it. If you don't say anything to me to tell me to change it, I'm going to do that again. And then I had to go, no, I want you to do something different.